So you're getting ready to retire. You spent the last 30 plus years building your nest egg, and now it's time to live off of it. But there's a problem. You aren't confident enough to draw down your assets without running out of money. My name is Alex LaRosa. I'm a certified financial planner professional and retirement planning expert. I work with pre-retirees to help them to and through retirement, including building out a savvy withdrawal strategy. In this video, I'm going to highlight a few of the different withdrawal strategies that financial planners can use with their clients, including the pros and cons of each. I am also going to cover a tax-savvy withdrawal strategy and provide an example of how with a little bit of planning, you can keep more of your hard-earned money. The first up is the 4% rule. What is the 4% rule? This is the most widely known and studied retirement spending strategy. The 4% rule says that you should withdraw 4% of your retirement savings in your first year of retirement. In subsequent years, you can tack on inflation. So if inflation was 2%, you would increase your withdrawals by that amount. For example, if you have a $1 million portfolio, under this strategy, you would withdraw $40,000 during your first year in retirement. The second year, you would take out $40,800, the original amount plus 2%. The third year, you would withdraw $41,616, the previous year's amount plus 2%, and so on. Some advantages are that this has been a long-withstanding strategy and it's been widely studied. Many retirees value this because it's simple to follow and it gives you a predictable amount of income each year. Some disadvantages. Lately, this approach has been criticized for not considering the effects of rising interest rates and market volatility. Indeed, if you were to retire at the onset of a steep stock market decline, you risk depleting your savings early. A newer, more popular strategy is something called spending guardrails. This strategy is more flexible than the 4% rule. As mentioned before, one of the drawbacks of the 4% rule is ignoring the effects of rising interest rates and market volatility. So, the spending guardrail strategy attempts to fix that. The idea is to set upper and lower limits to the amount of withdrawals each year. For example, a retiree can use a constant dollar approach, which is the 4% rule. It might start with a 5% initial withdrawal rate. If adjusted for inflation each year, historical analysis tells us that this approach will fail about 20% of the time. To address this, one can set lower guardrails of 4% and upper guardrails of 6%. Each year, the retiree would adjust the prior year's withdrawal by inflation. Before withdrawing the money, however, the person would calculate the percentage of the total portfolio the withdrawal represents. If it amounts to more than 6%, or the upper guardrail, the retiree would reduce the amount to the upper limit. If it's less than the lower guardrail of 4%, the person could increase the withdrawal to the lower guardrail limit. Once you and an advisor have chosen the withdrawal strategy that best fits your situation, the next step is to figure out where you'll be taking the money from. There are 3 different types of retirement accounts, and each of them are taxed differently. The first is after-tax money. These are your brokerage accounts, otherwise known as taxable accounts. These are funds that you've already paid taxes on and are usually invested. This account will be subject to the capital gains tax rules. So any gain that's sold under a year is taxed as ordinary income. Any gain sold after a year will be taxed at the long-term capital gains rate of 0, 15, or 20%, depending upon your income. The next bucket is your pre-tax money. These are your traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, or any other qualified retirement workplace plans. These are funds that you have yet to pay taxes on since they were deferred while you worked, which means that every dollar taken out will be taxed at your income rate. The third and final bucket is known as your tax-free accounts. These are your Roth IRAs and 401ks. This money you already paid taxes on and has grown and can be taken tax-free in retirement, completely tax-free. How and when you take from these buckets will have a major impact on your taxes and the overall asset longevity. So the first way that most people approach this is called a traditional strategy. It involves taking money from taxable accounts first, then your pre-tax accounts, and finally your tax-free accounts. A positive of this strategy is that it allows your tax-deferred and tax-free accounts to continue compounding without having to withdraw, while taking from your taxable accounts can keep your overall taxes lower during your early retirement years. A negative of this strategy is that it can lead to some very large required minimum distributions, or RMDs, in the future, which can not only hike up your tax rate, but increase your Medicare cost. Because of this, a good advisor will usually pair the traditional strategy with a solid Roth conversion plan. This will help negate it. Another strategy is called the reverse traditional, which reverses the pre-tax money and tax-free money. So tax-free first, followed by taxable, and then finally tax deferred. You would usually incorporate this if one of the clients is retiring younger or you need to keep your income lower for healthcare costs. This can only really be done if the individual or the couple has a significant tax-free account to live on. The third and final strategy is the pro rata rule. This alludes to taking your income from all three buckets in a weighted manner. So if 50% of your assets are in tax deferred accounts, 25% in taxable, and 25% in tax free, you would take a withdrawal every year in that weighting. This strategy can help spread the tax out over your entire retirement, saving you a lot of money. However, you need a good mix of all three buckets for this to work. Now, before I show you this example, I want to make it very clear that every person's situation is different. This video is purely educational and should be not taken as financial advice, as I would never advise someone without knowing their whole situation. So with that being said, I want to show you how choosing the right withdrawal strategy for you can greatly improve your chances of a successful retirement. This client, John and Jane Doe, are 60 years old and have $300,000 in a taxable account, $500,000 in tax deferred, and $250,000 in tax free. They spend about $8,000 per month. On the left is a traditional withdrawal strategy showing a 67% chance of success. And on the right is a pro rata rule. So by simply switching how and where they take their money from, we improve their chances of success by 13% and possibly save them over $400,000. Now, this is a very basic video on withdrawal strategies meant to just inform you on the options that you have. In reality, I can do an hour-long video on this subject if I wanted to. It is important to consult with your advisor and your tax strategist before making any decisions about this. If you are a pre-retiree and you would like some help building out a retirement withdrawal strategy, or you just simply want to know where you stand, I can help. Find the link in my bio and schedule a call with me. And if you like this video, please subscribe and share. Thank you.